going to do a flip through of Tarot of the Northern Shadows. This is a deck that's been in my collection for quite a while. Its copyright is actually 1997, and I probably got it new, so 20 odd years. This deck is actually made in Switzerland, though this is the English edition of the deck. Comes in a tough box, not my favorite, though this particular tough box actually does have a little bit of extra room in there so that you're not trying to cram the cards in and breaking everything up. This is a deck that is illustrated by Sylvia Gainsford, and the little white book is written by Howard Rodway. And it is a deck that is based on the Norse and Celtic mythologies. So our little booklet goes into the introduction, some of the history of how this deck came to be. The Major Arcana features Norse and Celtic figures with their attendant animals. Runic symbols are included as appropriate. In the Minor Arcana, it's a range of Norse and Celtic myths. In the Royal cards, for rods, it's Norse gods and goddesses. Cups are the heroes and heroines of the book that they got some of this mythology from. Swords are characters of British, Celtic, and continental legend, and discs are Irish Celtic personalities. So it has a lot of Norse and Celtic mythology in the cards. The artist. Each card for the Major Arcana has a little blurb, keywords, reverse. But also, it has the astrological correspondence as well as an elemental correspondence for each of the Major Arcana cards. So that is kind of nice. Minor Arcana. Keywords, kind of the same as the Major. It's a pretty minimal book. I wish it went into more the mythology behind the cards, because I think that would be interesting to know who is being pictured on the cards. But I guess that will take some research. And then the only spread that it really talks about is the Celtic cross, which does make sense considering this is a Celtic and Norse deck. So, little white book. The cards have this kind of black and white Celtic cross, Celtic knot work kind of thing going on the back. There's a couple of cards for their catalog, and then getting into the cards. So this is where I kind of wish I would know who these figures are. Like, why does this fool have a blackened face, a broken stool? This is obviously a jester and a figure of comedy. But if we look, this is supposed to be, Norse and Celtic figures. Well, who is this? But I do really like how the cards, they have a lot of white space, which I'm not always fond of. But for these cards, it makes sense. The cards do have the English translation on them. This figure, I'm guessing, is Odin. It would be nice to have something that told me who all these people are. But the scenes do portray some very specific imagery. This is obviously someone specific. Very death and rebirth vibe in this deck. Destruction. The world. This is very much the Norse version of how the world works. The Rainbow Bridge and Midgard and all of that. So that being the major arcana, we move to the cups. Element of water, emotions, relationships. Standing stones. It is a very British Isles kind of deck. Again, the court cards are specific gods, goddesses, heroes. Alright, the rods. This is not a rod in any of it. So this is our suit of ideas and creativity. This is the Ace of Rods, and there's not actually a rod anywhere to be found. It does get into it with the rest of the cards. Kind of epic, mythological imagery. Moving into the discs or pentacles in some decks. This suit is abundance, prosperity, financial, practical matters. A lot of runes around that. Our discs here are pancakes. The discs representing different images of the physical world, prosperity or lack thereof. Sometimes coins, sometimes swords, sometimes shields. That looks like cheese. And then finally our swords. Intellect, mental clarity, conflict. The Three of Swords is kind of interesting with this because it does clearly show heartbreak, but not with the usual imagery of being stabbed by a sword. Changeling and the Fae. That is a flip through of the Tarot of Northern Shadows, a very British Isles deck full of Norse and Celtic mythological themes. The cards themselves, mass market, fairly thin, decent size for my little hands. Shuffle very nicely. Better than that. Overhand shuffle. This deck is 23 years old. Still in very good shape because this isn't one that I have used a whole lot of. But I think if I get a little bit more familiar with the Norse and Celtic mythologies, I would enjoy it quite a lot because there are stories behind every one of these cards.